what to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.
That was Great Sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues is in the building. Easy Blues, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear Jack Jill of all trades, you don't really understand what it takes to do that. Not only do you spend 10,000 hours mastering a single artistry and vision, but when you can take 10,000 hours per 10,000 things, then you become a master of master. And that is one of the most important things. So I just want you to really understand and focus upon you are only as limited by the caliber in which you put yourself. And for that, I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, we're going to keep our hands at 10 and 2 because we don't need any accidents. But mentally, put your hands together for the fantastic, the amazing author, artist, incredible human being. I believe also reads tarot cards from what I know. The amazing, the incredible Sev7en Taylor. Welcome, benvenue, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the introduction.
Of course, of course. Now, just so that people understand, you are a musician, you are an author, you do a whole bunch of different things. Now let's have the chicken and the egg conversation. What came first? Were you an author first, or were you a musician first?
I think I've always been I would say I've always been a writer first before anything, but I did know that at some point in my life, I was going to be introduced to music. I just didn't know exactly at what point. So music always been a part of my life, but I didn't really start publicly doing music until like 2014, 2015. Yeah, so it's kind of like a little hatching of everything. Everything came behind each
other. And that's one of the most incredible things, because we hear about it on we talk about it on the show all the time. We look at branding as kind of the professional wrestling method of it. You find out who you are, you turn yourself up to 11. And, that is the brand in which you push. And you are the perfect example of that, because when there's a whole bunch of world that's telling you have to look like this, you have to act like this, the style of the music you play has to be played at this way, and you have to look particularly this way, and you have to wear this outfit and all of this. You sit there and go, nah, I'm just going to make good music. And then I'm also going to write some books, and, I'm going to do some whatever else I need. What gave that confidence? Because a lot of people would be like, nah, I'm going to do everything they tell me I have to do. I'm going to jump through every single hoop humanly possible. But you're like, no, I don't do hoops. I don't do hoops. Get my people to do hoops for me. How did that happen?
I feel like I've always been a rebellious soul. I do feel like I feel like I'm living a lot of past lives in one life at this current moment. And that's probably why all the jack of trades come in at. But I do feel that I've always liked the challenge. If you tell me like, oh, you can't wear this color, I'm gonna wear the color, but I'm gonna wear it so good that you're gonna compliment me every time you see me. So it's like, I feel like when someone challenges me, it's actually good. Some people don't like to be challenged. I like to be challenged. Challenge me, try to put me in that space and let me show you how I can, better produce something way past your imagination, what you think, your limitations, so it's always been me.
It's so interesting too, because we have been very, very conditioned as per society, to play within those barriers, and it has to be within those barriers. You sitting and being a rebellious soul, how have you been able to do self-care in an industry that really does it hurts? Like, let's be real. This, Hunter S. Thompson has said it. This industry is full of pimps, prostitutes, liars, cheats, drug addicts, hookers and johns, and there's a bad side. How do you maintain a positivity? Because it's one thing that, following you on social media, that I really have noticed is, although there have been moments of struggle and where you've had to reach out for a conversation, you've had a decent community around you, you've maintained a fierce positivity, where some people would look at that as this is your armor, but to actually know you, and I kind of think, as per social media standards, I know you pretty well.
Right.
You know, it really is who you are. And how does this happen so genuinely? Because there's a whole, like, there's a 16, 15, 14-year-old kid right now that is
Right.
struggling with so many different forms of identity.
Yeah.
What advice do you give them for being your genuine self? That's kind of like where I wanted to go with this.
Right. No, I mean, I love the way that you know, work, pattern your
Mhm.
questions. I feel that my biggest goal throughout my experience has always been to inspire. So someone inspired me to do this, and I get to now inspire a whole nother generation of people to do things that they want to do. I know that sometimes when I'm spiritual, not religious, but spiritual.
Mhm.
So I feel like when you are on your spiritual journey, when you are figuring out what life is and all these different things that come to you once you're at that last pinnacle of high school, that little last year, like, okay, now you got to go into the real world. You got to be adult. It's kind of scary. It's kind of lonely. You don't know exactly where you're going to go or what's going to happen. There's an excitement there, but there's also a thrill that if I don't do what I need to do, then I could become what I've seen around me. And I've always referenced, the Raisin in the Sun, that play. And I say a lot of people, especially in the Connecticut area, they have the Raisin in the Sun syndrome, is where they have the seed, they plant it, but they don't know how to water the dream. They don't know how to water the fruition of what they want out of this thing called life. And I think once I seen it happen over and over again, when it was my time to put the seed into the ground, I was just like, okay, now let's put the water on it. Let's tend to it. Let's throw some up in here. Excuse me, I don't know if you can cuss up here, but so it's like, um,
No,
no, you can't cuss up here. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay though.
Oh, okay, my bad. But yeah, so it's like at the end of the day, you really want to be aware consciously of where you're, I guess, producing. What are you
Mhm.
producing this time that you may have not done a year ago?
Right.
It's just that inner question that I always ask myself. Okay, what does it all mean? That's a big question I ask myself. Like, when you're done with this project and you're done with this and you're done with all these, what does it mean? Does it, beyond the money, beyond the fame and things that's attached to it, what does it mean to your soul? So that's I guess that's the thing that grounds me as I go into my journey. Inspire.
Well, and that's super key, inspire to inspire. And of
Hmm.
course, we'll get into those who have inspired you. So understand that we will see there, but I want to sit in this moment for a little bit as well.
Hmm.
Because you gave so many incredible nuggets. But
Thank you.
now I'm looking for the detail behind that nugget. You
Right.
said, to focus on watering.
Right.
What does watering look like for a musician? What does watering look like for somebody who wants to take that journey from I'm just doing this to get the voices in my head to be quiet to I
Right.
now can understand I can do this and those voices
Right.
can pay me.
Right.
So what does that watering and tending to that garden look like for that musician? We'll start with the musician and then we'll transition into the author.
Right. Okay. I mean, I like the way that you set it up too. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I do feel that for being a musician, I do feel that it's being consistent. Like, you
Mhm.
have to really be consistent. I'm a very consistent person. I love the feeling of completing something. I am a healthy workaholic in a sense. Like, I'll stay up long nights and stuff like that. Like, I think when we look for this consciousness of success, we know that it comes with a lot of, it's like the rocket going up into space and it has to detach all the shit that sorry, all the stuff that it does not need anymore. So it's like, I don't know why I'm profanity, but it detaches a lot of the stuff that it doesn't need anymore. So now it's more so uh focus on getting through those other layers and to get to the
Mhm.
space, quote unquote space. So I feel like that's the thing with consciousness when it comes to an individual that is working on their music. Obviously, you want to scope your sound, you want your sound to be something that the public enjoys, but you got to enjoy it first. So you got to get out of the, get the quirks out, because I know when we first start making music, that playback, you're like, oh, I'm cringing. Like, that's how I was, and then you start to, love your voice. And I feel like one thing I used to do is I used to just listen to my voice over and over and over again, to the point that it does not feel cringy and it does not feel so alienated, because I can listen to another artist and enjoy it. But then when it comes to yourself, you're like, oh, I'm cringy. So it's like, it's about being consistent. It's about understanding yourself, learning the formula, learning that consciousness and success is one. And in order for you to really go and progress in life, you got to let certain things go. And that's caring about what other people think. That's whatever your raising in the sun syndrome is in your family. It's just about really going deeper into the aspect of, okay, if I want this, what does it require of me? And that's the question. Like I said, I've always asked myself, what does this mean to me? What does it mean when all is done? And from there, you can just draw from there, but I guess everybody have their own way of trying to ground themselves within the creative process.
See, I ground ourselves on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ BlueZ is in the building. Before EZ gives us some incredible knowledge, Sev7en, you said healthy workaholic and you stay up all night. Please break that down, because I don't really think that's unhealthy.
Right. Because sometimes when we think about workaholics, we think of like someone that's just, they don't care about nobody but themselves. They focus on the goal. Sometimes you could turn around and everybody that you once loved may not be in that same space no more. Like grandma or grandpa might be on the other side of the plane. Someone might got married and you didn't attend their wedding, or whatever the scenario is. I feel like a healthy workaholic, even though that sounds crazy together, but a healthy workaholic to me, I feel that it's someone that knows balance. I'm a Libra.
Okay.
So we're very on balance. I need a balance, filling this entertainment world, but also filling that personal world as well. So to be able to go to a party of my niece or nephew and actually digest the moment without feeling like I need to be worried about what beats coming through or what projects people it's like I want to be focused in the moment. I think that's the present. The present is the present, obviously. Being focused in the moment and not allowing yourself to keep being detoured away from what you should really experience. Let's experience this. Let's not overdo it.
I got you. Not letting it get to you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, and I love the fact that it is, you become an idiosyncrasy, because you can be a healthy workaholic as per you're beating yourself up with deadlines and you're making sure that the stuff is happening, but you're also making sure that you're there for, say, if you have children, you're there for your children's ball game, or you're there to make sure that you're still living the connections that are necessary in life itself, where you're not being solo minded, solo focused. I talk about a lot in the human existence that I have no problem with anything except for super fandom. When something becomes that one, when you become one point of a personality, and your entire personality breathes by anything, whether it be a super Star Wars fan, a super Star Trek fan, a super Beyonce fan. If that's the only thing you are, that's a problem. That's unhealthy, but I can be a super fan of creating art and, be very obsessed with that, so that there are some days where I am writing lyrics on a ridiculous basis, or I'm writing a screenplay, or I'm tie-dyeing masks, trying to just figure out other ways to just continue to create. Because I've noticed the only time I'm truly happy and in that balance is when I am creating.
It's definitely an addiction.
Oh, it is, but the other thing is I also feel that it's very yin and yang aspect of it too, because I spend I spent a lot of my life, we'll say, doing destructive things, whether it be to myself or other people, and now I'm creating. Now I'm trying to repair the damage to the universe in which I did from in my youth, and dealing with that spiritual aspect of it. So I think that's great, and I love how we're continuing to talk about the spiritual aspect of music. But
Right, right,
this is also a branding show.
right.
And we really I want to talk about what it actually looks like as per how you deal with your marketing, how you
Yes.
deal with, and that as per the watering,
Right.
what it's like to have to, submit to Spotify, to run ad campaigns, all those little charges that we were never taught
Right. Right.
as younger musicians. We just thought like you wrote the best song ever, and
Mm-hmm.
then you release
Put
that,
it out there
and
and
then everyone just bows down.
right.
And as you walk down the street, you hear, here they come, it's amazing. That's not the reality. It's still a
Right.
matter of that other work. And I don't think a lot of independent musicians understand the importance of the marketing, whether
Yeah.
it be through social media, whether it be through, some of the streaming platforms, or they might not even know that stuff
Internet.
exists.
Oh,
And we're not
right.
talking about the bot buying things. No, we're
Right.
talking about genuine advertising and how
Mm-hmm.
that does affect in every single genre. So
Yeah.
please
No,
talk
that's
about
true.
that
I mean,
10 days.
right. I mean, yeah, that's definitely just to add into the conversation, that you started.
Mhm.
Yeah, for me, I feel like this time around, I was able to really understand the horizon of things. Like, far as before even getting to the point of the release date of my album, which came out September 27th, I started on July 27th. I started the official press tour. So I was talking to multiple different,
Mhm.
genres, magazines, etc., just to build up the momentum for the project itself. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a 3-leg type of press tour. Today starts the official second leg going into next year. And I get to talk to a lot of, dope platforms. But yeah, the marketing part behind it is very important because yes, you can have something that sounds like angels coming to your house and singing to you every day. But if you don't market it well, everybody ain't gonna hear that Michelangelo. Everybody ain't gonna get that
Exactly.
experience that they need. So it's like, yes, yeah, yes, the packaging and the hours of the studio time is important, and the mixing and mastering and all that stuff like that. But when it's time to, I guess, give birth to that project and put it out into the world for everyone's opinion, now you got to follow up with things, and normally that comes merch, visuals, which are all coming, but merch, visuals, interviews after post release,
Mhm.
different things to dissect things, playlisting, etc. So yeah, like you said, we at first we thought it was just like, okay, put something out and boom, hey, we out there. And then you started to realize, well, there's a whole market of people doing that. And
Mhm.
then sometimes we all drop it at the same time. So what is
Mhm.
making your release, I guess, have its own significance? And I think
Right.
that is the work that you put behind it. I'm up late, I'm doing this, I'm reaching out to this person, like, or sometimes just like this, it comes full circle. Like
Mhm.
me seeing you and then going, and that day I was shooting my album cover, so I needed that mic. Me seeing you in hindsight and meeting you briefly, and then going about my business,
Mhm.
not knowing that months later we'll be here.
Right.
It just speaks to that whole alignment of, it's like you pull things to your reality.
Mhm.
One day you're looking at Mariah Carey on the phone, next day you sit next to Mariah Carey. It's that
Mhm.
easy. Yes, there's work to go behind it, sit next to Mariah Carey, but if you are perceiving it and you're really like tending to it, again, that water in the plant situation, it'll happen. It might
Right.
not happen like, and I'd rather something have a slow burn than a fast one. You know,
Yeah. No,
it,
for real.
what the generation is on now. It's on abbreviation. Everything
Mhm.
is abbreviated. So they think that the abbreviations to success is like, okay, you put something
Mhm.
out and boom.
Right.
And if it's in your alignment, it's in your alignment. Some people happen like that, but it's
Right.
not for everybody.
Well, and that's the difference between like being the flash in the pan and having a
Right.
career. And I know P wanted to jump on there too, so I want
Oh,
to
okay.
let him throw his wisdom down.
The only
Yes.
wisdom is I forgot to say the tag. I said it at the wrong time. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Blues. I don't have any wisdom as of right now, but I love your marketing. Everything is debuted on the 7th. Can we just get behind that name, Seven Taylor? I don't know if we really discussed it like more earlier in the broadcast, but just break it down. Why seven? Is it because you feel so lucky and blessed to be alive? Like, break down that number to me.
Yeah.
Or
So
hold on. I have one question because I really,
Go ahead.
really, really wanted to know: is it because of the Prince song Seven?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really
no, it's
great
not
song.
because
Prince
I
is
mean
the
I
GOAT.
do enjoy Prince.
Okay.
Okay, I
right.
do enjoy Prince.
As Easy Wears
It
Purple.
wasn't necessarily Prince. So back in 2018, I had dropped my first album. Purple.
That's because I'm wearing
That's 'cause
purple.
Easy Wears Purple.
His internet
I was
is
I was
being a little
Oh,
weird.
what's that? Yeah,
yeah, I
because
was
I said
referencing
breaking
it. I'm
down.
sorry.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's all right.
I was gonna say, so is I do enjoy Prince, and Prince definitely obviously was light years beyond here. Um, for me, back into 2018, I was like a few months before releasing my first big LP, and it was called "Boys Just Want to Have Fun." I gotta put it back on streaming service somehow. But basically, I had a dream. It was a spiritual dream. I used to go by my government initials, T Taylor. That was my name at first. And then I had the dream. The dream said, "Hey, we want you to spell your name like this. Your name is Seven." I said, "Okay." And then they said, "This is how you're going to spell it." They literally told me how to spell it. So when I woke up, I grabbed a piece of paper and I wrote it down. And I spelled the SEV, the number 7EN. And then I kept Taylor to honor my late grandmother that passed a few years back. So I was like, okay, cool. Uploaded it, changed everything around, open sesame. Everybody started like, tuning in to me, want to know me, book me, etc. I said, oh shoot, oh yeah. I guess I gotta listen more to those dreams. But yeah, so it was spiritually given to me. I like I said, I feel like I'm living a lot of past lives in one. And sometimes, well, some people can understand what I'm saying, and some people are like, what the hell are you talking about? But I just feel like I'm a very old soul.
Right.
And I've been here numerous times. I've always been creative in every life I could think of. And I feel like when you do get something spiritually given to you, you can't escape it. It's like it's like music and creativity and all these different things from being 5 years old is it's always been in my face. I've always was like, oh, I love that. I love General Hospital. I love all my, I love that drama. In fact, that was feeding my soul as a young kid. And then, just growing up and seeing things. So it's just like, in shortness, to answer your question, it was spiritually given.
Right.
Everything was just literally just like, hey, here you go.
That's so super interesting because no matter what you want to call it, we'll call it Bob for right now. Say the spiritual aspect or the spiritual world, whatever you want to call it. That it has a tendency to tap you on the shoulder. It has a tendency to whisper in your ear, but there's also that tendency to grab you by the collar and shake the bejeebus out of you. Because sooner or later you're gonna listen to that voice. It just depends on how loud that voice is going to get. And I love the fact that you are giving testimony, because that's what this is. If we're being honest, you're giving testimony as having faith in that vision, in that moment, to invest in and to make these changes. But these changes also, if you're looking from a marketing point of view, the story is so awesome. I could sit and tell your story over and over again. And it's something, that's there. Oh, they got a dream. And then they woke up and this is who they are now. So this is all leading to this aspect. Now, how does it bleed between musician to author? How did that happen? Again, which came first, the CD or the book? And did the one bleed into the other? Oh, the book came first.
Yeah. So before the book, I was So I was a sign model. I did some modeling work, some professional modeling work, and then as I was, doing that, I was already working on a book. I was already in talks with a publisher at the time. That whole experience, and once the publisher kind of didn't want to, I guess, publish my work, far as she had a genre in her mind. And just like when you go to a record label, they have like a genre, and I'm like, oh, I want you to do this. but I want to do this. No, we don't want to hear that. You know, so she wanted me to do teenage books of kids being reckless and stuff like that. That wasn't my. I wanted to talk about after the you know, being teenage. I wanted to talk about the 20-year-olds and 90 and 30-year-olds and stuff like that. So I basically walked away from that deal. And Lee later, you know, she later still bought a book for me after I published it and stuff. But I feel like everything kind of just let itself in. Like I went to the model agency, I modeled, I did some professional work. I was already working on the book. I was doing some little bit of college at the time as well. But I just knew that every day I went to this community college, which I didn't want to at first, but it was like, shit, I didn't have the money for anything else at that time. It's like every day that I went there, something in my mind always told me that you don't belong here.
Right.
It's like we're gonna let you sit through this 2-hour class, but you really don't belong here, so you're wasting your time. And that's what I kind of felt in my soul every day being there. So like I said, that's what kind of just pushed me more into the entrepreneurial world. And book came first, and then after the book, that's when I started to just dabble into music more seriously, not like just playing around doing freestyles, but actually just really being serious. And once I seen the response to my rap skills, that's when I was like, oh, I got something here. let me work on it. Let me own in on it. And now we're here.
No, we definitely are, and that's incredible. Now, what is it like? I'm trying to word this correctly because I really want to know how important this is, but I don't want to have you feel like you're being commercialized or anything like that. So,
no, I'm open.
So, what is it like, doing hip hop in an industry that is very single-minded when dealing more towards the pop aspect, or at least has been for a very long point of time, where the ultimate in the skill aspect and that machismo has always been a huge part of hip-hop, although there have been different evolutions. Yes, the hypermasculinity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to.
I was getting what you was playing down.
Good, making sure. That was
no,
rough.
right. You got it. You got it. No, I love the way, like I say, I like the way you deliver questions. Like that stuff. That's my type of stuff. I'm very mental. I feel like once I realized that so I freestyle for my brothers first. Once I got their approval, I ain't gonna go anybody else because they already was doing their own thing with music at one point. Once I started to work more in the industry and being, who I am and stuff like that, I've had a lot of experiences where people doubt you before they hear you because they're already thinking that they know what you're going to sound like.
Right.
But then when they started to realize that I could rap just like y'all and maybe even better, and talk my sass, and not be so just one track minded. Like I can be masculine, but I also can give you a touch of feminine nature as well. I think it just kind of was like the perfect explosion for me. Like I was just like, okay, well, when you go in a room, you're gonna have people already prejudging you for how you look, what you sound like, etc. And when I do become Sev7en, normally they're very wild and like, oh shit, wow, you did that one. So I feel like for anyone that's navigating, I guess, these type of spaces, being openly whatever you are, it's challenging, but it's not. I feel like because I got the talent to back it up, I don't really worry about it. And then 9 times out of 10, a lot of those individuals end up liking me too. So and that's a whole nother thing. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like I feel like I birth an energy that it allows people to really connect with me, and we don't really worry about the whole gender sexuality thing.
Right.
We kind of worry about the content of the art itself, but there are one-track minded people where they kind of like, oh, I hear that. Well, it's like, okay. And then I
Right.
play them something and they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I got you. You know, can't judge a book by its cover, you know?
Well,
Might be
and that's a super key, because it is
Mhm.
so important, not judging the book by its cover, but to understand that in every genre of music and
Right.
every style of music, there are different points of view that
Mhm.
can be told. Like, look,
Right.
Uncle Frank Zappa said it the best: all original music's already been done by people in powdered wigs.
Right.
Just do you, and just be super genuine with who you are. Because,
Right.
Kevin Smith talks about it. All the stories have already been told. It's just our point of view that we have to be artistic with.
Right.
So
Right.
of course, one of the reasons why we do this show is so that we can tell those stories of success doesn't have to look like MTV Cribs, or
Mhm.
you got yourself on Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous.
Right.
Success is, I am happy doing what I do every day,
Right.
and my basic needs are covered. And that's
Right.
really what we want to hammer home here.
Yeah.
Is you work hard for it, but you live a content life.
Mhm.
And how much of that is being content with who you are, and how
Oh,
much of that is being content with what your bank account looks like.
right. I think both. I mean, I feel like once I became like again, like once I became Seven Taylor, and then the doors just started to open up, and I'm like, okay, oh, I feel like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna ease on down the road. Um, and I started going to industry parties and meeting people that I've listened to one night in my damn room. I feel like at the end of the day, what's the best way to put it? I feel like life happens, but it's good to happen with it. You know, some people are so just content with I guess their versions of wealth, because wealth comes in various versions and methods, and um financial wealth has always been in my life. And then I've always been given the tools to make a buck. That's not the problem. That's not the issue. I think my mission has always been to blend the worlds, so we're not focused just on those physical aspects.
Right.
You know, because like I said,
Exactly.
after a while, people tend to like you, or people tend to. And another thing too is like, just to speak a little bit on the sexuality thing. Sexuality is not black and white. You know, it's very much in color, and everything is not straight nor gay. There's other intersections in here, and I feel like sometimes there's people that just, and we've heard from many of our iconic individuals that lived a private life outside of, like, Luther Vandross and I forgot the comedian Richard Pryor, all these different people that were dibbling and dabbling in those communities privately, and the list goes on and on and on. And again, it's like a lot of these people that you love and you were dancing with and intimate with and all this, as far as like listening to their art, a lot of them were living opposed lives behind the scenes that you just never knew because of that time period. So it's like once you understand how beautiful the rainbow really gets, you don't worry about the rain. You don't really worry about those things no more. I don't really worry about because like I said, 9 times out of 10, I get those experiences where someone pull you to the side and they're trying to holler at you. Are they expressing how they, what, I really like it, or whatever the situation is. Everything's not sexual. But when we do have a mindset of thinking that gay, straight, it's like that's when it's like, okay, rap, pop, which one you gonna go? I do everything. House, rap, pop, everything. I'm a very much I'm an artist. And I feel like I feel like my purpose being here in this earth realm has just been just the right to express. As long as I can express, I'm good. I'm happy here. Once I can't express anymore and things, stuff like that, I've served my mission. Gotta go. It's not personal.
No, it's definitely not personal at all. But
At
I
all.
love,
Business is not personal either. It's
yeah.
like I
Well,
want
but
you to know that too.
well,
It's just how it is.
I love how it is 100% that true story of you are yourself. You 100% embrace who you are, flaws and all, and you roll with that, and that is what gives you the success. Is you're making the best version of you. The best version of you is going out there. It's Miramoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings. The emptiness scroll is to be so good at something that it becomes muscle memory, and that's why I referred to the 10,000 hours initially, because it does state 10,000 hours you become a master at something. And there's only but so many hours in the day, and you've really, look, I'm not going to say you're at master status. I'm saying you're at contentment status of how you manage being yourself, and just in being yourself, finding the proper way to reimburse your investment. And though it's always going to be a continuous investment.
I like that. I like you word things.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is your sign?
Stop. No, I'm just kidding. Pisces. I am a Pisces.
Okay, yeah, Pisces. Okay, no, because I'm a Libra, so like we're very. What is your sign? What is his sign? What is Princeton's sign?
P.
My sign is Sagittarius.
Oh, okay, so you're my mom. You're a fire sign. Okay. Either you're gonna burn the house down or you're gonna have a harmony. Either or, yeah. No, I feel like astrology has a big part of our genetic makeup, even though I think people look at astrology as just dating wise, and it's like it's far beyond that. But I'm a Libra, an air sign. We live up here. So people that are beings, I should say, that are very intellectual, I like those type of people. Yeah, let's go deep. Let's have some deep conversation. I don't want to keep talking about surface level things. Like, give me something that I'm really gonna be like bedazzled about. Like, oh, you went there, So I do you word things.
We love to. Well, that's the true thing is we have this platform, and we want to tell your story, but I want to tell the realistic aspect of it, because again, if somebody told us, make sure you put aside 10% and invest that in, a marketing strategy, a Spotify ad run,
rainy day,
a rainy day, but releasing the record and not having an actual marketing budget is it's very difficult to do, because you're investing in the possibility of something,
which is true.
But
and also, doing nothing is doing something. I always like to tell people that too. When people are like, "Oh, I'm not doing nothing," you are doing something. Right. Whether you're sitting down eating a bag of chips or whether you're just laying in your bed, and it's so when you think about that analogy in life, when people are just, I think about this. There's 95% of people in the world that are investing, going to, and helping the production of someone else's dream. And then you have the other 5% of people that they realize what they're doing and they switch occurrences. Like, oh, matter of fact, let me go. Like, someone working 9 to 5s, and then you always get fired, or something always happen with you and a manager because y'all both have management mindsets. That was your key right there. Like, okay, I got to get out of here because I want to manage the manager. I want to be the boss because I am a boss. So it's like, once you understand that 5% of again, a mindset of like, okay, to become the boss, I have to think like a boss. I can't be a worker and be the boss at the same time. I got to have some type of significance in the roles that I play. And that was me. That was how I got out of 9 to 5s myself. It's just, I had money saved up for rainy days, but I also was very consistent. I already had a brand, bubbling. And then I also just said to myself, and I'm about to go into 4 years of just being a full-fledged entrepreneur, of like really being able to like being able to bring in money and handle things and stuff like that. In 2021, once I got that, I call them downloads. And once I got the download of like, okay, the literacy of this situation is, if I want to become the other 5%, I have to make the risks of the 5%. It's like, if I keep trying to play this even comfort zone, what am I getting?
Right.
If I keep making the same pie, I know it's going to taste like, it's going to taste like cherry. let me make something else. Let me do something else that's outside of my comfort zone so I can see how that feels. And then once you start getting that feeling, you're like, I'm kind of a little addicted. I like this. I like being able to set my own schedule and know when my deposits in and, all that stuff like that. Yes, it's work, but life is work itself. But it's like, once you really get yourself out of that 95% pool and you become that 5%, go over here with the 5% cool kids. And the cool kids is not really cool kids. The cool kids is disciplined kids. I understand this.
Yeah.
I get life kids. I understand my childhood best friends might not make it to the red carpets with me kids. It's like you understand the vision. So you're willing to make the there's a woman, her name is Lisa Nichols. She's someone that is a self-made millionaire. Yeah, I probably came across her at some point in your life. If you haven't, check her out. She's someone that really inspired me one day in the gym in 2021. Like I said before, I really went full-fledged. And it's like, she asked the question of, one of the questions that she asks you during her motivational speeches is, what is something you haven't done, for? Where's the place that you have, it's like, and you think about it because you're so caught up in like the matrix of things. You're so caught up in going to work and doing this and doing that. And, it's like, it's robotic. I don't like robotic things. I like to be spontaneous.
Well, one thing I have to do that's robotic is say WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City made Sev7en. I hope I didn't lose your train of thought. Please go ahead.
Yes. Right. Robotic. Yes. Yeah. Just the hindsight of it. Yeah. So it's like things become so robotic for you that you kind of like, you could guess it in your sleep. It's like, oh, I already know. You're going to come in at 2. She's going to come in at 3, So it's like, once you get to a place where you're like, okay, if I am going to continue this, then where does this really lead me? Like, where am I leading myself if I'm always knowing the next thing? Like, there's beauty in the unknown. There's beauty in being a individual that many don't get. I love that. Because now I get to impress you when you actually do dive deep into my work. I don't really know about Sev7en. And then you playing on my music and buying on my content now. Now you're upset. Now you became a fan, and that's what happened, because that's what happened with me with the people that I looked up to.
Right.
Don't really know who they is, don't know what they're giving, but after that second song, I like them.
Right.
And you just grow from there. So it's like, I feel like if anyone wants to build something or create something, think about the 95 and 5% rule of life. It's like the population is 95. That other population where they're really being free thinkers is that 5%. But it takes, sacrifices to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to, I have a lot of generational curses to break. So I don't got time to lose.
All right. I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna really sit with that amazing healing speaking you've got going on there, and I'm gonna speak power into that because I'm very, very big into those type of aspects, and I love using this forum for that. That being said, I like with myself, it was say 48 Laws of Power or 22 laws for branding and different things like that. That have helped. Miyamoto Musashi, books of philosophy that have helped. You've had Miss Nichols. Any other aspects there? Because you literally are, like I will say this, I already see the next book being more towards like a self-help book, and it being titled, being content but never complacent.
The one I'm working on, I already published. This one that's out now. And this one is called I Think I Love Myself, Deep Meditations, Affirmations, and Universal Connections. So this is definitely, okay, so it's like, with this book, I wrote this book more so, this is a psychological self-help book, but it's also, it's a love letter to my previous versions of myself, because I feel like in order for you to really heal, I got to go back to my 5-year-old self or my 12-year-old self or whatever version that's really speaking out to me the most. And when you commit to a reset, of course, it's going to feel very erupted because it's like, dang, I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing that. I'm used to. It's like it's a whole different world, and I feel like once you really commit to the reset, like you said, life will either give you the space to do what you got to do, or it's gonna choke you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, hey, make that decision. That's what I feel like a reset does. It's like it keeps giving you like little signals. You keep getting frustrated. You keep feeling complacent. You keep feeling stuck. You keep feeling like these people around me just don't get what I'm really doing. And then out of nowhere, one night it just hits you. Quit your job.
Yeah.
Leave them friends alone. Leave that relationship. And it's so erupted, and you're like, wait, but what does that look like? That's the unknown. But commit to the journey, and it will literally rebuild itself right before your eyes. What did you say?
And that 100% is even in investing in what you're doing on your everyday average basis, because the part is, I want to stay away from being complacent. I want to be content with myself. I want to stay away from being complacent. And the thing that always sits with me, and as I remember being in the military, and I remember them saying complacency, it could give you an inch and a half, and an inch and a half means death. And the reason why they would say that is, you say you're on a patrol,
right?
You're doing this patrol 100 days into your into your deployment, and you're about to go home, or you're set up for leave in 2 weeks, and you've seen the same strip of road 100 days, and it's boring. But it's the same thing. But you become complacent. You become relaxed in that moment, and you push your Kevlar up just an inch and a half, and that inch and a half is all that sniper needs to end you.
That's true.
So that'd be the difference of being complacent but being content. I'm content on this day that I'm doing this one more time, and doing this one more time is going to get me to my leave in 2 weeks. Doing this one more time is going to get me to tomorrow. Then you can sit down and you can count down. I got 4 and a wake up. Because that dream is gonna happen. You've just got to continue to work it, even in those moments of boردom. Your 100th interview. Your
boredom,
3 million text, or the isolation, which gets even crazier.
They don't talk about those things, but it's because, again, just to add to what you're saying, for me, everything is driven by just the consciousness of how you think, the mindset, and isolation comes with success. Little do people know. That's why a lot of successful people hang out with other successful people, because they get it what we had to go to get here. But it's like isolation comes, and then it's the insanity too. It's the, okay, I want to move here, but I know I'm gonna have to release this to get there. Well, but then you got people attached to you. You got people trying to put their and it's like, I don't care about those things, right? But I gotta get myself over the horizon first, and then I could come back for you. I can give you so much better resources once I put myself out there into the jungle, and that's where my mindset is at, where it's like, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. I'm very focused on exactly what I want to do with my brand, with my talents, and even with me making a lot of impact thus far with a lot of upcoming artists, or people that maybe not want to dabble in music. They just like to see someone that they went to school with at one point doing, so many phenomenal things. So it's definitely important to be not only just consistent, but understand why you're consistent too.
It's also really important to understand that, unfortunately, we're getting the Apollo curtain pulled on us. The producers are saying it's about that time, but we want to give these last minute and a half just to you to tell people how they can invest in you, how they can connect with you, how can they help you grow your brand, and how they help grow with you. The floor is yours, sir.
The floor is mine. Yay! Clap, clap, clap. So hey, y'all, I am Sev7en Taylor. In many worlds, I'm a universal spiritual connector. In other worlds, I'm a music artist, author, yada, yada, yada. You can find a lot of my content on booksbysev7.com. I am on all social media platforms. I do have a new album out called The Clip Off, 27 tracks, amazing features. It's an experience is what I'm getting from all the listeners. Take a chance on something that's really going to give you something. I feel like that's the nugget of the day. You know, what you get back is sometimes worth more than what you probably put in, you know? So, and I thank y'all as well for just, you know, hosting this intimate space for me. And I appreciate you both for just allowing me to come on. Oh, yeah. And grab a copy of my book.
Yes.
On Amazon, Barnes & Noble. My website, you get it signed. But Barnes & Noble and stuff like that, you just get a Q copy, you know. But other than that, yeah. And I love that you shared that story about us, because that it just gave me a lot of confirmation with things, you know, just hindsight of what you see. Sometimes you walk past someone that you're going to be in a meeting with, you know, you never know.
Exactly.
You know,
We
other
do
than
know.
that, yeah.
Thank you so much, Seven. We appreciate you. On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Blues.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.